It's the Allison Arngrim Show. And yes, I'm Allison Arngrim. Now, some of you may know me as Evil Nellie Olson, but tonight I am Allison Arngrim. And here on the Allison Arngrim Show, we talk about things that make you feel good. The movies and the TV shows that made us feel good and the people who made them, and people who are doing things now to make the world a better and more interesting place. And I got one tonight. Well, okay, some of you have been following me on Facebook and stuff. You knew this was coming. You knew this was coming. Okay, what? Introducer, star of bazillions of TV shows and movies and stage, best known as my arch nemesis, evil, hard little, smells like a dirty horse, half pint. Yes, it's Melissa Gilbert.
Hi, everybody.
How are you? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm tired and I showed you some of my fantastic bruises not 5 minutes ago. I'm building a deck on my house and, I've become the DIY chicken farm lady.
You need to come build me a deck. Bob and I were just talking about getting a deck. His brother has a deck. You may have to come build my deck.
I would consider that. I don't know if you really want me to do it though. I've made quite a few mistakes already and I have to keep doing things over.
I am learning. I'm frightened by the idea of you with power tools and sharp objects.
I know. Well, today I was using a nail gun and nobody got hurt. Everything went fine. So it's all good.
I've known you forever, and you talk about it in your book, and it's you have broken nearly every bone in your body and had every disease known to mankind. If you can catch it, if you can come down with it, if you have a reaction to it, if you can have surgery on it, if you can break it or have it removed or replaced.
I swear to God, I'm bionic at this point. And I mean, I've had, and I finally, I literally got everything. I just had COVID a couple of weeks ago and you are so cute.
COVID. I'm like,
Everyone in my circle, my kids, the grandkids, my mom, people were texting me and stuff. And you were the only one who wrote, please get better. Please don't die.
Because I was scared because you are the canary in a coal mine. It's like I was worried because you can't cross a room with like breaking your femur or something. And it was like, oh no, she's got COVID. No, please don't get complications. Oh my God.
I had a very easy time. I mean, I got sick. I had symptoms for about 4 days, nothing really severe, but fortunately, apparently this variant attaches itself and attacks the upper respiratory system less than the chest. So I just had a sore throat and a runny nose and a fever for 4 days. And then I was just exhausted. But now clearly I feel fine. I'm building a deck.
You sound completely normal. It's hysterical. As we were just saying, I have an actual cold. And
I don't even know what that is anymore.
I talked to two friends who apparently caught the same cold because we're all like the same party. And we were all in a panic and, the things going up the nose and even going to the doctor and the thing. And it's like, negative. How many negative tests do you have? And how many days? And we're all it's like, oh my God, we have a cold.
I have to say this is either a function of the world we're living in right now, or we're really this old that we start our conversations by talking about our ailments.
We are. It's like, oh, I did my back.
I know. Wait. Does your toe do this? No, but seriously, Allison, we're coming up on 50 years.
Yeah. Because I'm 60 now. I'm 60 and a half.
I'm aware. I am 58.
You're 50. I will always be older than you.
Yes, you will, which brings me great comfort. I'm 58 and change. But I was 9 when we met. 9, 10, somewhere around there.
You were this big. You were actually this big.
Really, literally, I was. I fit inside a television set.
You did. You fit in fact too. But as I said, I could put her in my purse and she could chew her way out if she had to. That is you.
Yes, especially with those big teeth. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You were freaking adorable. But yeah, we've known each other longer than I'd really like. I mean, how many people have I known this long? I did. No,
zero. I mean, you know what? The two people I've known this long are you and Leslie Landon Matthews.
Leslie. It's so bizarre. Wait, they said they do have a video. Okay, we got to show just a couple seconds of your famous screen test when you were a tiny, squeaky little Gilbert child with Michael Landon. But this was her famous screen test of Laura, where she was like, it's just this big.
I'm a teeny.
Squeaky.
Action.
I'm sorry, Pop.
Sorry about what, Half-Pint?
Sorry for thinking you didn't care about Jack being drowned.
Didn't care. Look, I blame myself for not putting Jack in the wagon before we crossed. I should have taken into account how tired he was. I was just full of guilt for thinking he drowned.
But you only said you were sorry we didn't have a good watchdog anymore.
Well, you know, sometimes people say things they don't mean. I just couldn't find the words to say what was in my heart, Half-Pint. Oh. I love you.
I love you too.
Hey.
I like that we met.
You hear that?
Hear what? Pop.
Stars. Singing hallelujah. Pretty, aren't they?
Yeah.
And cut.
This is so.
But we would, okay, when we were kids, we would sometimes do impressions of each other. We'd be like rehearsing the scene, and then we'd like do it as each other. And I was always like, "Oh, Pa."
You know what the easiest way to do it? Then thanks, by the
my
way. For
God.
that. The easiest way to do that is if you get two Altoids. I wish I had my purse here, but you get two Altoids, and they make the exactly perfect teeth. Now, to do you just have to put the Altoids up here. Because remember, your eye teeth came down from your nose. Yeah.
My eye teeth were coming down. I had to have 4 teeth. Both of us suffered braces. Hell, I had to have 4 teeth pulled in the back and everything shoved back.
Me too.
Apparently too big for my jaw or some insane thing. And
that's
so
same.
you had these two stuck out, but I had these were like coming down like Twilight.
Yeah, I know. They were like fangs.
I say I have a mold of my teeth that the dentist did, where they did a mold of my teeth, the before thing, before they did it. And I had the little cast, and I had it on my dresser. And the 2 questions that I was most asked about it is this a prop from a horror film? Is this a mold of your dog? Because it just looks like not normal. So we both had horrid, ghastly dental issues.
Yeah, we used the mold of my teeth as a bottle opener.
And we were squeaky. If I find out when I watch the first season, it sounds like we're both on helium.
Oh yeah, 100%. Although my voice pretty much didn't change. It's still the same.
Wasn't someone once said you sound a bit like Bart Simpson? And you can do a really good Bart Simpson. Have you?
Golly, I don't know. I don't know if I could even try. I mean, it's so iconic.
It's that.
I don't know. Isn't he something like this? Somewhere in here.
You're in the right vocal range. It's a little scary.
Somewhere something like this. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. If you with a cold is Bart Simpson.
Me with COVID. That's what it is.
And when you go, you turn into Bart Simpson. Okay, so it's insane that we have lived this long, which is like amazing in Hollywood that anybody's lived this long. So you have book. I like book. I am reading the book actually right now on Kindle, even though you're going to give me one in July when I see you.
Yes, I'm going to give you
a proper autograph one. I like it. I like it even better than the first one. I think you're even bolder and more like, I'm just gonna spill it now in this one than ever before.
Pretty much. I mean, there's not a ton left to spill in the sort of, kiss and telly sort of, or as Scotty McGregor called it, my K&T book. Kiss and tell book. It's not as kind of, I don't know, lurid in that way. And if you compare the two, I'm in such a different place in my life and myself right now. It's such a different, more settled, calm, no axes to grind, sort of a really peaceful place that it came out differently.
That's
And
what, like, yeah, it's not the classic Hollywood blah 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 kiss and tell. I made this movie and then I went out with this guy. It's like, okay, here's what's happening, and then
here's who I am, and then I go
that.
through menopause, and then I had my breast implants taken out, and then I did this, and then and all of this was steps on the road to lead me to where I am now, which is this really sort of calm, centered, peaceful, happy place where I don't feel pressure to do anything or be anyone other people want me to do or be.
And I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, you have to understand the pressure when we were kids, let alone, heaven forbid, teenagers. People talk about the pressure now, but even then, the pressure on a teenage girl who is on a series to look a certain way, be a certain way, not just, oh, you need to be pretty, but you have to be this kind of pretty. You must be this kind of pretty.
Yeah, you have to fit into the mold of what we think pretty is. And you have to do stuff that, you know, even on our show, when I look back, I think I was 15 years old, and I was dating a guy in his 20s. And I wasn't even dating. I would jokingly laugh it off and say, well, Dean Butler shaved his face and I wasn't allowed to shave my legs yet, was kind of my way of explaining the age difference. But now, you know, coming through, when you look at it through the lens of who we are as a society now, that would never happen. You couldn't do it.
At least
and no one talked to me about it.
It was weird. I mean, he's closer, at least to your age, than the actual Lauren Almanza was a full 10 years older than her, but it was the 1800s. And I think Almanza was like a young 25. I don't know. But
it was a totally different time. But the 70s but one of the odd things was is no one sat me down and said, now listen, we got the guy who's playing Almanzo, but he's older than you. We're going to make sure you're comfortable. It was just, here you go.
Yeah, it wasn't like, okay, listen, you're playing this girl who by 15 in the 1800s had endured things like nobody lives through. So she was 15 going on 40 by the time she met this guy, because she'd almost starved to death in a winter and a few things, and was very old for 15. And people got married at 15 and 16 and 17. And he was, had gone out as a really young pioneer when he wasn't even old enough to do it. And here's what's happening. This guy's not even as old as Almanzo. So, and he's nice, but we'll introduce you. We'll let you talk for nothing. None of that. Zero Zippo. All of that would happen now. They would have sat the actors down. Nope. Go to work.
No intimacy coordinators. Although we never had any.
An intimacy coordinator. I know. I read about that now, and I go, oh no, intimacy coordinator.
Oh mercy.
Get in the bed. Yeah, get in the bed.
Get in the bed and eat the popcorn. Actually, because that's prairie loving. We read the Bible and eat popcorn, and then suddenly there's a baby.
Well, when Steve Tracy was cast as Percival, you and I sat there waiting because all we were told is, oh, Nellie's getting married. And I had no idea. And we sat there like the women of the village waiting to see who was the man I had been sold to. And luckily, Steve
Thank
Tracy.
God yours was gay.
Every short guy who walked us over, is that him? Ooh, is that him? And then thank God was Steve. And we're like, oh, you're nice. Okay, he's cute. Great. Fabulous. Oh, he's gay. Okay, great. Fabulous. Even better. No threat.
Lucky. Yeah, exactly. Delightful.
I got lucky. We hit it off, but it also was weird. We were shooting the madly in love kissing scenes and the bed scenes like really early, like we barely knew each other and we're like in bed.
Yeah. Now I've had that happen in movies as an adult, it's like when I was in my 20s and 30s with leading men that I've just met, and like the first scene happens to be a love scene and you make a joke out of it and you move on. But at that point, I'm married, I have kids, I know a few things. But when I was 14, 15 years old and hadn't even been on a date yet, it was just a little uncomfortable. God bless Dean Butler. I don't know how he handled it. I really don't.
He was, thank heavens, a perfect gentleman and did his best to try to make it less terrible.
Less terrifying. Yes.
He's not really a very scary person. I mean,
not a tiny bit. I think I'm scarier.
Right. Well, really in retrospect. But yeah, and then the pressure to be a certain look at when you and then of course we came of age. It's the 80s, which is the height of TNA and sex comedies. And of course, I was blonde, so I was supposed to be like the bimbo. That didn't go well. I'd go to the auditions for the bimbo, and then I'd open my mouth, and then goodbye.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It definitely doesn't work.
There was so much pressure that you were literally at one point put in a position where you were made to feel jealous of my boobs, and they weren't even that big then.
So much so that I stuffed my dress with apples.
Yes. We all and they fell out. Bad drag.
And they
Your
fell
apples
out. Bad drag. Fell out in front of the class. And I didn't even call them boobs. I called them bumps. When am I going to get bumps, Mom?
It was so insane, but that was kind of pressure. And so now here we are in the other end going, oh my God, thank God that's not over. It's like, yeah, it's the whole concept. You can be in this movie. What was it? It was me, Mary McDonough from the Waltons, everybody from the Waltons, Susan Richardson, was it is enough. Three of us were in the ladies' room at some event talking about the dismal situation, the 80s casting and the stuff we were being called for. And Mary said something like, God, I can't get arrested. I just not getting called in for stuff. And then Susan said, yeah, well, they're calling me for stuff, but they want me to be nude. And I looked up and said, I offered to be nude and they still wouldn't take me. Which was pretty much how things were. So it was so insane. Completely true story. And that's what things like. So now we are. We're now old enough to go, oh, we're not doing that anymore. You got all the
no one wants to see this naked anymore. Well, except for Tim.
God. It's right. And so now we're down. And now you not only have the book, but you have there's this whole thing, Modern Prairie, website, Instagram, who's he what? It's like a whole branding thing. It has Be Well and cooking and gardening and whatnot. Melissa, is this kind of like a Gwyneth Paltrow-y goop thing for like women our age?
It is a far more accessible version. Gwyneth Paltrow is not that far from our age. She's what?
That's
50
right.
now? She's 50. Did she turn 50? She turned 50.
She did. I think
just
she did.
turned 50. So it's not that. It's just more accessible and a little more down to earth. We're going to start launching products soon. We're starting with garden and kitchen stuff, and it's just something I've sort of been mulling over and trying to figure out a way to do it. I just don't, when I slammed into menopause, with the exception of like you and Leslie and just a couple of my girlfriends, Sandy Peckinpah and my friend Tina Carlisi and Cordelia, there's not like a lot of information. And it's still something that people sort of go, oh, menopause. Like, it's not even, I mean, everybody tries to give you stuff to prevent it, which is insane because you can't prevent it. So what are you going to, you're going to give yourself bioidentical hormones that could potentially cause cancer and put off the inevitable as opposed to try and find a way through it as comfortably as you can, because it is a natural transition. And how do we take care of ourselves, body, mind, and soul? So I really wanted to create a place where women who are perimenopause, like 45 and up, can discuss all of these things, but also share all of the other things we do. Just because we're older doesn't mean we're over. It's actually a really incredible time, I think, in a woman's life. We've lived this long. We've earned the right to our opinions. We know what we're talking about. We've been around long enough. And this sort of mentality to just kind of push us aside because we're no longer ingenue material, it's just unacceptable to me. If you look at women older than us, like Helen Mirren and Judi Dench, I mean, these are powerhouses. Meryl Streep.
Literally last night, my husband and I were talking, Bob and I were talking about like older women, like, gosh, over 40, hell, years ago it was over 30. They're just kind of like, go away, go away. And he said, well, yeah, Helen Mirren and Judi Dench. And I said, they're British.
Yes, exactly. But we also, we have Meryl Streep, you have leaders, but there's not enough of us. There's not enough of a celebration. And also, when you talk about like advertising and selling products, who do these people think are the shoppers? The 22-year-old girls? I don't think so.
Well, I always like when they show the cream that's supposed to remove wrinkles and the model's like 19. And it's like,
I got to tell you, one of my least favorite expressions in the beauty world is anti-aging.
Anti-aging.
Why? Why anti-aging? How about nurturing and nourishing as opposed to anti-aging? Nurture and nourish what you have instead of trying to fix it and change it and back it up, because it's inevitably going to happen. And do you really want to be some psycho in your 90s with like pockets of silicone injected into your face from trying to puff it up all these years? It's not clearly not my thing.
Because it tends to, in the long run, it doesn't really doesn't really work. There's all these staving off, and they don't tell you all the things that happen during menopause. Everyone talks about hot flashes. There's lots of jokes and comedy sketches and movies about hot flashes. They don't tell you there's like 37 other weird things that start
can and do
happening.
happen. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that happen to all different parts of your body, and also things that happen to your psyche. There are things that happen to you spiritually, and then it's actually just another transition that once you get through it, yet again, women come out of it stronger. So let's celebrate that instead of I don't want us to hide anymore.
It was like I was going through puberty in reverse. Like weird things that happened. I just made you do a spit take, didn't I? Yes.
You did.
I made you spit. It was puberty in reverse. It's stuff that happened when I was 14 and 15 was like happening, but I'm going, oh, this is wrong. And then it was
acne.
like
I had acne.
Right. What the hell? And the insomnia thing, the waking up in the middle of the night, and then the weird dreams. And I was like, okay, wait, this is part of that. They're not talking. And then finally I found people who were like, yeah, here's what's really going on. I'm like, oh my God. The weird dreams,
like emotional PMS-y stuff.
I had dreams, and I remember my doctor said, "Oh yeah, are they really violent?" I said, "No, dancing, singing dolls." It was like It's a Small World at like 45 RPM.
Oh no, that's no.
Right? I would wake up screaming.
That's worse.
It was like awful. But that's the thing. The fabulous Robin Tyler, I was talking to her, and she said, okay, they don't tell you for the insomnia what you really need. You need TiVo. You need like old TV shows. She said, when you wake up, you tell yourself, you like repeat after me, I am going through a normal physical process, and I have awake in the middle of the night because this is what happens when going through menopause. It's not, and I'm going to go to sleep again in 5 minutes. And then you watch like reruns of Friends, or I watch like Meerkat Manor, whatever.
Yeah, I love Meerkat Manor. And it's a really great secret. I learned this raising kids. If you turn the volume down really low, so it's really soft, you start to strain to hear it, and it makes you tired. I used to do that with my kids.
And so I watched little animal shows on that. And it worked for me. She said it took weeks and weeks, like 3 days in of going, I'm having a normal reaction. I'm going to go to sleep. Yeah. I'm like the hypnotist dream. I'm a sucker.
Read a book. Don't go on the computer. Don't go on the phone, but read a book or a magazine. It'll knock you right out.
And it did work. And it was like, okay, so but she's like, yeah, there's all these weird things that happen. They don't even tell you. You have to like look up like the real books on menopause, because they just go, oh, are you having hot flashes? And I'm like, no, I had one hot flash. I got hot one day and then stayed there for like 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, well, that's weird.
It's a very individual process, but there are so many different and better ways to get through it than to riddle your body with chemicals and try to stop it.
And some people do the hormones, and some people actually wind up doing psychotropic drugs. They're doing like Prozac or sedatives or sleeping pills or combinations thereof, and that gets crazy.
Yeah, that could be a real problem. I don't condone that. I mean, I believe everyone should choose their own way, but really we need to look at what we eat, what we put in our bodies, what we're trying to get out of our bodies. We need to exercise in a different way, maybe do yoga instead of running. There are things that we can do to stay physically sound. But just this idea that we've all become doddering old women that have nothing to contribute is nuts.
And then it's so much like more. A fate worse than death is to get old. It's like, I love my doctor, but with medical interventions, it's like less is more, less is more. It's good. You don't like exactly. Like fix the wristwatch with a hammer here. And that's the thing, is that getting older, being medicalized and treated as a disease in and of itself. Like you are not supposed to get older. No.
Right. Anti-aging again.
Anti-aging. So I looked at the Bon Prairie thing. It has cooking, and it has gardening, and it has and it has a whole and health things, and It looked pretty, and it's pretty. It looks very pretty as well.
It is pretty. We're very proud of our website, and we're growing and expanding, and it's really taking off. And we'll see where it leads. I'm very immensely involved. Nothing happens without my say so or approval, and
good.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be. There'll be no steaming of vaginas or like inserting jade eggs.
No,
none of those.
There will be no candles that smell like my vagina or anything of the sort. And the very closest thing that would happen would be like, this candle smells like my kitchen. I mean, I can't even imagine. I don't, not that I'm afraid of talking about all of these things. I'm just not going to advocate for any sort of treatments physically of any kind. That's not where my partner, Nicole, and I that's not our bailiwick. We more than anything, we just want to celebrate where we're at this phase in our life and share with all of these incredible women what comes next and what they're doing. And there's also this emotional reassessment that happens. It's not, like I said in my book, it's not a midlife crisis, it's a midlife reassessment. Okay, this is the last third. What are we going to do?
Right.
What do you want to do with the last third of your life? If you could do anything, because you can do anything, I mean, short of becoming an astronaut, what is it you want to do with your life?
Shatner went into space, and he's in his 80s. Shatner went into space. It's
90.
You're not doing the scaffolding building. It's more like what's the legacy kind of phase.
Exactly. There's no need to be ambitious and crazed now. We can back off of that pedal, I think. So what do you want to do? What do you want? Now's the time to leave behind the legacy. So what's the legacy?
We're allowed to be proud of what we've done. We're allowed to stop for a minute and go, oh my God, did I do all of that? I did do all of that. And like take a breath and actually appreciate what we've done.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going too fast.
There's
when
a
we're young.
huge accomplishment to stop, and Tim says this to me all the time. You realize, sweetheart, you have been a working actress for 56 years. Because I started when I was 2 and I never stopped. I still haven't stopped. So that's something to be celebrated. And it also enables me to go, no, don't feel like that. I don't, I just read a script for a film they sent me to audition for, and I read the script and went, I didn't get it. It didn't click with me. And I wrote my agents and said, thank you guys so much for submitting me. But the material didn't speak to me. I don't see myself doing this. So
we don't have to do stuff we don't want to. When you're in your 20s and you're like young and hungry and you're trying to make the career, it's like, I don't really want to do this. Yes, but if you do this, it's a really good project and this guy is a director is going to be, you don't do any of that.
You don't say no. Now we can say no. We're at an age to a myriad of things. And I think the great thing is for women our age is that we, more than knowing what we want, we know what we don't want.
Now, you're up in the woods with chickens. And I remember when this started, you said, well, I got this little place in the woods. And it's great because we're in Manhattan, which is super, super, super big city. So a nice break is a cute little place in the Catskills. We'll go weekends in summer. It'll be to fixer-upper. It'll be fun. And then the pandemic hits and everyone's like, I got to get out of here. And you're like, oh, funny, we have a place to go. And suddenly you're in the woods and you're like, I'm planting a garden. Wait, I'm raising chickens. And I was like, are you getting a cow? But then numbers went up and things got worse. And I was texting going, get the cow. Don't go back to, just get the cow. Don't leave.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly, Tim and I talked about having this sort of lifestyle, but because we were always going and on location and doing stuff, we never really figured out how to do it. And we just always thought maybe we'll have a caretaker on our property. If we end up having all of these animals, we'll figure out how to get there. We didn't know. And then the pandemic hit and this lifestyle that we had wanted became a lifestyle that we needed, we thought.
Right, because you were going to have somebody live there or check in because we're going to go once or twice a month and then we'll go for July.
Exactly.
You're going to well, we won't be there for 5 months at a time. So we can't plant a garden. And now.
And surprise. And when the book first came out last month, I went into our place in New York City for 3 weeks because I had to do all the press and promotion and all that stuff for it, all the talk shows, all the signings, all that stuff. And I love New York City. I love knowing that our little apartment is there. It's like the best little hotel suite anywhere in the world. It's a perfect little 1-bedroom pied-à-terre. We order from DoorDash so you can get any kind of food you want. We can actually watch streaming television because we have real internet as opposed to at our house where we have satellite internet. It's like a step.
And you can go to Broadway.
And you can go to Broadway. And we go in for a couple of days, but for 3 whole weeks, I was like, oof, I want to go home. I just want to go home. And when I finally got home, it was so nice to be able to just chill out and it's quiet, and every day. And my day, I'm either knitting or cross stitching and just kind of I sit in a recliner. I have a recliner.
Well, you said you got out of your overalls and threw on a dress for this because you were out in the back 40.
I started this morning with my chicken chores and then weeding and then building the deck. And then And then I made dinner because Tim's rehearsing a play up here. And so today was his first day. So I wanted to make sure he ate, and we have to eat at a certain time because we also intermittently fast. We're intermittent fasters. And so we have to eat by a certain time to be able to eat by the next time, the 14 hours later in the morning. And so I made dinner, and then I took a bath and threw on a dress, and here I am. And I'm
Now, chickens, you love your chickens. You've talked about your chickens. You wrote about your chickens. You love your little chickens. They're so cute. Are chickens gross? I think of taking care of chickens. Is it gross and disgusting, or are they so cute you don't care?
Allison, you scoop cat poop out of a litter box. Am I right?
This is true. Or I make Bob do it, but it
Okay.
gets stuck to me. But I've also had the cat that had my male cat years ago. There was an anal gland issue.
Oh, so you've expressed an anal gland. Yeah. Okay. We don't have to do that with the chickens.
Veterinary medicine.
I use a cat litter scoop, and I go into the coop each day, and I scoop out the night's poops, and I throw them in a bucket, and then I throw them in the stuff that accumulates in the bucket goes into the compost and gets mixed in with all the stuff in the compost that I use for the vegetables the next year. And it doesn't smell as bad as cat poop. It's much
Okay, that's
cleaner.
good to know. Good to know.
Albeit my chickens end every day with blueberries, fresh blueberries. I feed them. They eat all organic. And they eat all the vegetables and fruits that we have that are left over that don't go in the compost. And every day they get blueberries at the end of the day. So their morning poops are purple.
So you have the fanciest chicken poop of any farm.
I do. My girls are very special. I'm madly in love with them. I have one, Coco, who actually, if I don't go outside with the blueberries at the end of the day, comes to the back door and pecks at the door until I let her in to give her blueberries.
Like a dog or cat.
She is very much like a dog. And she's the only one that my dog, we're trying to teach the puppy not to chase the chickens. Chicago, we have a new puppy, and she's learning. But she's now decided that she likes blueberries too. So last night I sat outside and I gave Coco 2 blueberries, and then I gave Chicago 2 blueberries, and then I gave the chicken 2 blueberries, and I gave the dog 2 blueberries. And we had a perfectly lovely time.
I still think that you and I, though, I've mentioned this, I mentioned it earlier today, is that you and I would be like Green Acres, and I'm sorry, I would be the darling, I love you, but give me Park Avenue. I don't think I can farm. I said to Bob during the pandemic, a lot of people started farming, we're getting chickens, growing gardens, and you were doing it. I said, I don't know that I can do raised beds. I said, but I'm more the urban survivalist. I can rappel down into the abandoned supermarket and bring back the canned goods.
There's value in that too. There is definitely value in that too. And you would do well in a zombie apocalypse.
I totally do it. I could find the Twinkies. I could do the zombie apocalypse, but I just don't know.
And if you need to, and by the way, Tim Busfield said as I was leaving today, ask her why she hasn't come to our house yet. So probably
this is at the other end of the country. I shall have to come over there.
More or less. But while you're rappelling down and getting the cans, I'll take my crossbow out and I'll shoot a turkey and dress it. And then you can bring the canned goods and we can grill the turkey and we'll have turkey and canned goods.
I have a great recipe for the stuffing, and between the two, yes.
Yeah. Wild turkeys are not really good to stuff, but anyway.
How do you cook wild turkey? They're more gamey and lean. So what do you do with them?
They are. There's no legs. There's no drumstick.
Yeah, it's not a roaster with all the fat that's been sitting in a pan.
No, it's just breast meat. You can only get like a breast cutlet and just kind of pan fry it, is what our research told us. We haven't actually done this.
Do you do it like duck? Do you do it like duck, like Magret de Canard, like get a little like a duck steak, kind of get it in the pan?
Yeah, you could do it like that. Yeah, but we would kill it and cut it and do it ourselves if we had to. We did do the research to figure out how to do it. We haven't done it, obviously.
Oh, you haven't had to actually self-process.
I haven't shot anything with my crossbow except for the bullseye.
But you are ready for the zombie apocalypse because you do have a crossbow.
Oh, 100%. Honey, I have a pink camo crossbow. I do. Because I won't carry. I won't.
Many times, like which cast members would do the best during zombie apocalypse? Clearly, I think you are first.
I'm totally ready. We even have the motorhome, which we call the dressing room on the property for guests because it has 2 more bathrooms. There's one bathroom in the house, and we had to have that for COVID. When the kids would come up, they'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks before they could come into the main house. Pre-tests, pre-vaccine,
everything,
all of it. And so we could actually hitch that to my car if we needed to, and I could fully become like the zombie apocalypse lady.
Excellent, excellent. Now you were talking about Tim here. Okay, one of the things we have in common: married older kind of hippie dudes, and marrying a guy who has not seen Little House on the Prairie until after you were married. Bob did not. He'd heard of Little House on the Prairie. He says he'd seen
Oh
it like
yeah.
flipping channels, but he'd never sat down and like watched an episode of Little House on the Prairie. And it was actually when we got together that time in Sonora for that reunion thing, the
Oh my
fundraiser.
God, that was already
That was
almost 30
90
years
something.
ago.
Yeah, and that's 100 years ago now. We married, and I said, "You haven't seen the show, really?" Because no, not really. I said, "You don't know who any of these people are?" Because no. And I said, "Well, they're going to be talking about Lord is My Shepherd with Ernest Borgnine, where you climb a mountain and find Jesus, and he's Ernest Borgnine." And Laura runs across 5 states from Minnesota and finds a mountain.
Did you
And
think he was Jesus? I thought he
I
was an
thought he was Jesus.
angel.
Oh, was he?
Did you think he was
Well,
actual Jesus?
I thought he was Jesus. I
Did
thought he
you?
was God.
I thought he was just an angel.
He turned into a dove, so it could go either way on that. So that was very Jesus. He turned into the dove.
Interesting.
But you're right, because then Jonathan, Highway to Heaven, Jonathan, angel.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So there's a theme. There's a theme. But when she runs up the mountain and everything, and I said you should watch this because it's Sonora and they're going to be talking about that and have panels and discuss that endlessly thing. So start with that one. And he watched it and he kept falling asleep. And he said, "How did you stay awake to film this?" So I said, "Well, we'll find you a more exciting episode." But then he got into it. He started watching some of the funnier ones, like the one with Doc Baker helps the old lady fake her death so her relatives will come visit and stuff. And he's like, "Okay, I like this." He really liked Richard Bowl and Kevin Hagen a lot. And he's like, "Oh, I'm getting," and so now he's seen like a bunch of episodes and stuff and he thinks it's pretty cool.
My husband had never seen it, and then the first thing he watched was the pilot movie, which he still believes is one of the greatest movies ever made for television in the history of television. He has such an appreciation for Michael Landon as a director, being a really prolific director himself. He's got hundreds of credits as a director and numerous repeats on different shows. They keep having him back. And he knows what he's doing, and he's directed a ton of theater. He's directed features, and he just loves Michael's work. And then when he realized that he was also writing, starring, and producing and directing, he just kind of went through the roof. So now anytime if he's flipping through the channels and it's on, he turns it on. And he loves to watch it. And then
I think Michael was very much the actor's director and a director's director. And that is the thing. I always tell people, like, he did everything. He was doing everything. He was doing everything on the show. So, it's unheard of.
Yeah, really ridiculous. They broke that mold for sure.
Yeah. He was a showrunner before they called it showrunner.
Yeah, showrunner star. Yeah. He was it was unbelievable. Like I don't know how he did it, because we went home at the end of the day, and we went home when we were kids, certainly. And we went home.
We had holidays off and weekends and got home for dinner
or chunks of summer, and we had time. He went home.
Nobody does that. Yeah, that doesn't happen. So he got into it. He got into it because the directing is like so amazing.
Who, Timmy?
Yeah,
Timmy got into watching Little House.
He got into watching Little House. So the directing is so amazing.
But he loves the performances too. He really thinks that Michael put together an incredible group of actors, and he loves to watch me, and he gets all gooey, and he cries watching all the time.
Oh, wow. Oh, so he's been totally sucked into, he's a bonnet head.
He absolutely did not fall asleep ever watching an episode of Little House on the Prairie.
He has converted to being a bonnet head. He cries.
Timothy Busfield is a bonnet head. Sure.
Timothy Busfield is a bonnet head.
Yeah, listen, let me tell you, he is such a fan and has a bit of a crush on Karen Grassley, too. She's
gorgeous. She's gorgeous.
I know, such a stunning, gorgeous creature she is. And he goes, "Oh, there's my ma." Ugh, ew, stop it.
Yeah. Well, now Bob has episodes where sometimes he go, "Oh, I haven't seen this one before," and then he's like, "Who's that? Who's this? Now, what happened when you were filming this?" And then so it's exciting now. It's like
yeah. And then there were the ones that we did where Michael had a message that he wanted to deliver to that had the socially conscious episodes, and those were the ones that people really glommed onto during 2020 in the summer and the great
Right.
awakening we were going through when they remembered the wisdom of Solomon. And, I
Wisdom of Solomon became a huge hit all over again.
I look at my
then,
Instagram feed and, Angela Bassett is tweeting, who knew A House on the Prairie was woke? And I'm
right,
like, and then Viola Davis says the same thing. And Jamie Foxx said the same thing. And I was like, I did. You're talking to the girl who had to try and rub the black off of Todd Bridges' face. And I didn't want to do it. I don't know if you knew this. I asked Mike, because they had the scene where I went, wow, you really are a real Negro person. First of all, I didn't want to say Negro person.
Right, because it was like, this was the 70s, not the 50s, folks. We were like, no, we don't say that.
And I don't want to try and I said, why? I don't like it. Because I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't know how to say that this makes me really uncomfortable.
No, it was weird.
And Mike said to me, we're trying to teach people something very important, and I need you to be the conduit. So once he explained that to me, I was like, okay, I got it. I'll do it. I hated it, but I did it.
Catherine McGregor told me that when, as Mrs. Olsen, who was terribly racist and anti-Semitic and pretty much hated everybody that wasn't her, when she was doing the scene where they were trying to keep the black guy out of church, and she was like ranting and raving and said, and Reverend Alden had said something about we're all made in God's image. And she said, but everyone knows God is a white man. When she shot that scene, she almost couldn't do it. She kept cracking up laughing because if you recall, Catherine was a devotee of the Vedanta temple in LA and subscribed to an Eastern Hindu sect religion. And she said, you think that God's a black woman? In my world, God's a black woman. God's not a white guy. What am I talking about? And so she said, yeah, those scenes just like sent her right over the edge. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff was hard. But when it was reframed for me, the way Michael said is, we're trying to teach people something. Then I was okay with it.
Well, and that's the thing. And I was, when I tormenting the stuttering girl, I was constantly doing horrible things where I went, oh
my God, you made fun of the girl with the short leg. You were mean to the stuttering girl. You mocked the girl who cut off all her hair. You were a horrible human.
And before I married Percival, there was that nice man who made the coffins that Albert worked for, who was Jewish. And Willie and I said he had horns.
Horns.
So we were anti-Semitic as well as anti the differently abled and disabled persons. And yeah. So I was really evil. And the stuttering one got to me. I remember going, this is giving me the creeps. Okay.
Katie Kurtzman. Was that Katie Kurtzman?
It was Katie Kurtzman. And that's the thing. But when I did it, I went, no, because we are showing how awful people can be. My job is to be as unpleasant as humanly possible to show.
Exactly. And it worked. People hated you. They still say things to me like, that Nellie girl. Ooh.
Right? You still like, oh, you still speak to her?
Yeah. Wait, you're friends?
I used to mention, when Bob told his parents were getting married, and they did, they were like, wait, she's an actress? What show was she on? Little House on the Prairie, who'd she play? And he said, Nellie Olson. It was like the line went dead.
I can imagine.
Awful silence, and finally his father
funny.
said, she's not like she was on the show, is she?
Oh, that's so funny.
8,000 years later, we're still, and that's where, so both of us are getting that. I mean, people are still calling you half pint, and you're freaking 57.
Oh, 58, but thank you. I'll shave a year off for you.
A few months, yeah.
It's really, it's fun that people still call me half pint. I did a book signing up here, actually, at Bethel Woods, where Woodstock was, about a week ago. And one of the guys, I did a Q&A, and one of the men said, so, half pint. And everybody went, ha, ha, ha. And I went, no, that's my nickname. Please. You feel free. That's what, there's a group of people who will only call me half pint. And now that we're all adults, like the remaining crew people who are still alive, if I run into them anywhere, go, hiya, half Melissa. And I go, no, it's okay. Half pint. It's fine.
Well, it's like the people sometimes will be apologetic and go, I don't know how to say this, but I hated you. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Yes, you're too kind. Because it's right. What would you say was our best fight?
Oh, the mud fight. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even call it the mud fight. We should just call it what it is, the cow poop fight.
The cow poop and duck poop.
Cow and duck and goose shit. Pardon me. Can I say that?
On the show, yeah. It was because in the winter, the wood filled with water, and the ducks and the geese would come. And
then in the fall, the cattle would gather there and they would drink water.
Grazing, And they didn't clean it up. They just went, well, this looks like a good spot to shoot this, and
This
got
looks
a hose
muddy. Yeah.
and filled it full of water and mud. So it was wet. Yeah.
It was no bueno. And Tim actually said to me, she really is due an opportunity to cram a fistful of cow poop in your mouth. You realize that?
You can see like slow-mo. You have a hand comes around, just like,
yeah. Tim says that it's only fair that you should come here and grab a handful of some kind of poop and shove it in my mouth.
Chicken, I guess.
I disagree because it was accidental, but
it did not look accidental.
Oh, totally. First of all, nobody told us that was poo. I mean,
we didn't know it was poop until we were in, and then it was like, yeah.
Well, but remember when they were cleaning our ears out with like a special solution? And I said, why? And they said, well, the mud's it's not actually mud. It's really dirty. You don't want that in your ears. They were cleaning our ears out with hydrogen peroxide and water.
Yeah, the set medic flushed my eyes and said, did you get it in your eye? And I said, my eye?
She shoved it down my throat.
I just ate like the quarts of this stuff.
I think that was our best. The haymaker, that first punch.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Country Girls was a good one too.
That was good. And then when I hanged you, yes, the hanging, the execution and dream sequence.
Dream sequence, yeah, that was
dream sequence where I have the ringlets and the candy, and I
yes, I do remember that.
That was sick and twisted and very, very weird. All right, where do people get the book? I mean, I have the book. You're going to have now we're going to be at this thing. Anybody who is in shouting distance of Los Angeles, we're going to be in Burbank. Now you're coming in for the Saturday, just the Saturday or the Friday?
Just the Saturday on July 2nd. Okay.
I'm going to come in on the Friday, and a bunch of us from the Prairie shall be there, and you will be there on Saturday, and we will be at the Burbank Marriott for the Hollywood show, signing and selling stuff. And there's like a group photo op and all kinds of things, but it's one of the larger groups of Prairieites in a while.
I think it's the biggest one that it's one of the biggest gatherings of us that there's been.
I mean, since like a Walnut Grove one. You know, Ketty Lester's coming.
Yes, I know. And I think Karen is not coming.
Last minute, she got a gig. Got a gig. She's going up north to work. She's got work.
She's doing on Golden Pond on stage.
She's doing the Catherine Hepburn part, yeah.
But there's a lot of us are going to be there. Linwood Boomer will be there Friday night. But only Friday night, and he's donating everything he makes.
Yes, because he's Linwood. He's like that. So it's going to be a whole crew. So you'll have the book there.
I will have the book there. The book is available from booksellers all over the place. It's on audio. You can buy it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, your local independent bookstore. It's called Back to the Prairie. A Home Remade a Life Rediscovered. And then if you're interested at all in the modern prairie stuff, you should check out our website. It's www.modernprairie.com. And we are always looking for submissions of modern mavens. And a modern maven would be someone in your life who you want to promote, who you want us to promote, whose work in whatever field, whether it's the arts or crafts or health or wellness or anything. You submit them and then we vet them.
It's a participatory thing. It's a group participation thing.
We read all the emails ourselves. We send them back and forth to each other, and we really want as much community engagement as we can get. So it's definitely worth checking out, I think. And it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And I'm very excited because once we get to the end of summer too, we're going to move into canning season and all the stuff that's coming out of the gardens. We're going to talk about canning and preserving and sharing and all that stuff.
And Christmas arts and crafts.
Arts and crafts, lots of crafting. And then we'll have clothing and we'll have our own product lines coming in soon, really soon. We actually have a photo session next week of a lot of our new products. So that'll be soon. Yeah.
Okay. Well, say hi to Tim and the dogs and the chickens and the bears. I have a bear. He attacked our trash can twice attacked our trash can. And
we have a trash can that is bear proof. And so the bears tend to come and they'll pull the trash can all the way across the yard and knock it into a bunch of stuff, but they haven't gotten in it yet. What kills me is they don't realize that there's a compost. Like if you blow on the composter, the lid comes off and it's all food. but
And I feel bad for the bear because we'd thrown away. There was some leftover old chicken stuff, and that's why the bear came. And the problem was we'd also thrown away the cat litter. So the poor bear like rips this lid off the thing, the plastic, and tears it all, throws it down, and goes to get the chicken. There's a bag of cat litter, so he like left, and then came back another time. And the same thing.
I've got one urban story for you. When I lived in New York in the 80s, when my son Dakota, who's now in his 30s, was born, I lived on West 12th in the West Village and the bottom 2 floors of a 4-story brownstone. So outside our living room was where we would leave out the trash. And we would leave, trash bags in the trash cans, and then people would come and collect it. And oftentimes, if we left stuff out there, like furniture or shelving or anything, we didn't have to have it picked up because people would come and just take stuff. And we would often see like the homeless people would come by and go through our trash and grab stuff. And I was sitting in the living room and I was looking out the window and I watched a guy, homeless man, come up and go through our trash cans and grab a big bag of what felt like soft clothes. It was a bag of dirty diapers. And all I could think was, oh, this poor dude. And I was nursing the baby at the time, so I couldn't exactly run out and go, here, don't take this money instead, or let me go take you grocery shopping or something.
Right.
And like, by the time I actually could get to the door and look out, he was long gone. And all I could think was when he opens that bag, how disappointed.
It's like you want to leave a note on the trash can. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. This is my son's dookie.
Bad for the bear. But I am putting some netting up because there's a deer and some very aggressive squirrels. I grow like tomatoes, and they come for that.
Squirrels?
Very aggressive squirrels. They're like rapping on the window. Feed me.
Well, you would not handle it up here at all with the porcupines, and there's rattlesnakes. I had a guy to move a garter snake from the deck we were working today and just kind of tossed it out of the way. And foxes, wolves, coyotes, eagles, owls.
Coyotes we got. And I love the snakes. All right. I gotta go. We have to say hello to all the animals. Run along. Don't break anything or hurt anything or staple your foot to the deck or anything, please. And I'll see you in like 2 weeks.
Yay! I can't wait. And please give my love to Bob. Oh, look at us.
Oh, picture of us. Boobs. Yes.
Boobs on one of us. One of us did not have them. Still doesn't. Used to, but they came out. So there you go. You still have them.
I have organic boobs. All right. So thank you. This has been the Allison Arngrim Show, and that's Melissa Gilbert, and I'm Allison Arngrim.
I found my way home.